Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back, Daily Boxing News. So John Fury is playing the blame game. He's blaming Sugar Hill and Turki Usyk for his son's 2 losses to Alexander Usyk. He says that Tyson was overtrained in the first fight due to having 2 back-to-back camps because of the cut, but of course forgets to mention the fact that Alexander Usyk also had 2 camps. So if Tyson was overtrained, how come Usyk wasn't overtrained, John? How do you know that Usyk had a perfect camp? Well, you think he doesn't get injured? You think he doesn't have niggles and what have you? Of course he does. The difference is he doesn't complain about it. He just gets on with things. He then claims that he saved Tyson from being knocked out after that 9th round. He claims if Tyson had listened to the advice from Sugar Hill, and he seemed to insinuate Andy Lee as well, that he would have got stopped. But supposedly he listened to John Fury's advice and was able to last the distance. John Fury, as you would expect, has some ridiculous scoring for the fight, claiming that Usyk and Fury shared the 10th round, and that Fury came back and won both the 11th and the 12th. Ridiculous. Mr. John Fury, how do you account for the fact that both BoxRec and Jabba, 2 independent punch-stack companies, had Alexander Usyk outlanding Tyson Fury in that first fight? How do you account for that if it was some terrible robbery like you're making it out to be? If it's a terrible robbery, then there's no way that Usyk outlands Fury. But that's exactly what happened. Furthermore, Shane Fury, who was in Saudi for that first fight, who was there to support his brother, who was ringside cheering him on, came out after the fight some days later and admitted that he thought Alexander Usyk won after watching the fight back a second time. He said that when he was there in the arena, he thought Tyson had won it, but you would expect that. That's his brother. It's going to be very difficult to be impartial and unbiased when you're watching your brother fighting. You're going to be hyper-focusing on the things he's doing well, on the successes he's having, and blanking out the stuff that Usyk's doing. I get it. But a few days later, when the dust had settled and he went back to watch a video of the fight in the cold light of day and removed his emotions from the situation, allowing him to score it impartially, he had Usyk winning. How do you explain that, Mr. John Fury? Your own son, who was right there ringside cheering Tyson on, had Usyk winning the fight, and you're claiming it was a robbery. Give it a rest. How do the Fury fanboys explain the fact that Shane Fury scored the fight in favor of Usyk? Not one of them has ever come up with an explanation for it. Because again, according to them, this was some travesty, some horrible robbery. There is no way that Shane Fury would have scored the fight to Alexander Usyk if it was a horrible robbery. So give me some answers. And don't start trying to deflect and talk about Anthony Joshua. This has got nothing to do with Anthony Joshua. This is about Fury and Usyk. What's AJ got to do with any of this? You weirdos have got this obsession with Anthony Joshua. This is a fight that AJ had nothing to do with. You can't reconcile your ridiculous narrative that Fury was robbed with the fact that his own brother Shane had Usyk winning. You can't square that circle, can you? So you resort to deflection tactics in desperation. That's what you do. But getting back to John Fury, he said that Tyson was overtrained for the first fight because of the 2 camps, therefore didn't have enough energy, and he acts like he was the mastermind genius in the corner who allowed his son to survive after taking a count in the 9th round. He says that Sugar Hill's no good as a trainer, but he said the same thing about Ben Davidson. In fact, with regards to Tyson Fury's weight, after the Otto Wallin fight, John Fury said the following about his son: "You're never going to be body beautiful." That's what he, as in Ben Davidson, emphasized on, looking good rather than the actual fight itself. They never listen to you. The dads never know nothing. Everybody else is always right and I'm wrong. But I've seen this coming. He looked weight drained. He looked like he'd left it all in the gym, to be honest with you. From the 2nd round on, there was no snap. There was no real movement. There was no real thought going into his work. Everything went tonight. That wasn't Tyson. He was weak as a kitten from the 1st round. I've warned him and warned him about this. He's not an 18-stone fighter anymore. He's 31 years old. He's matured. His body's grown, except that you're 19 stone. Those were the words of John Fury back in 2019 after his son Tyson fought Otto Wallin. He was telling his son that he needed to be 19 stone back then, which is 266 pounds, complaining that Ben Davidson didn't know what he was doing. Fast forward to 2025, and now he's complaining that Sugar Hill doesn't know what he's doing. Because the play all along from John Fury is to put himself in his son Tyson's corner as the head trainer, so he can bask in the limelight. And presumably that's the exact reason that his son Tyson won't allow him to be head trainer. because he knows what his dad's all about. Anyway, with regards to the second defeat to Alexander Usyk, John Fury almost contradicts himself and says that his son wasn't in good enough shape. Well, hang on, John. 3 years prior to that, you're complaining that Ben Davidson is working your son too hard in the gym and he's losing too much weight. And regarding the first Usyk fight, you say, oh, Tyson was weight drained, basically, overtrained, left it all in the gym. But then for the second fight, you complained that, oh, he wasn't trained hard enough. Sugar Hill's too soft on him. You couldn't make it up. John Fury's looking for excuses from everywhere, even if he has to contradict himself in the process. Ridiculous. And then to cap it all off, he insinuates that Turki Al-Sheikh fixed it so that the judges would score the fight in favor of Alexander Usyk, claiming that it's because he didn't want to pay Tyson any more big purses. He says that Turki's basically shot himself in the foot now because his son's the biggest draw in the heavyweight division, according to John Fury. Again, Mr. John Fury, your son was outlanded, according to Jabba and CompuBox, in the second fight as well. 2 independent punch-counting companies had him being outlanded. But instead, you're blaming it on Sugar Hill. You're blaming it on Turki Al-Sheikh. You're blaming it on being overtrained. You're blaming it on being undertrained. You're blaming it on you not being in the corner. I mean, good God, man. Get a grip. This blame game is laughable. You know, you'd think that John Fury would show some gratitude for Turki Al-Sheikh, for giving his son these ridiculous paydays and for accommodating John himself with his absurd and disrespectful behavior when he was in Saudi Arabia. This guy assaulted someone right there on camera, unprovoked. In any other set of circumstances, he'd have wound up in a Saudi prison for that. But no, Turkey and the other Saudis involved smoothed it all over. By John Fury's own admission when he was out there, he was treated like a king, chauffeured around. This idea that Turkey wouldn't want Tyson Fury to win makes no logical sense. They're trying to bring eyes to their country. They're trying to have the events that they do be as big and spectacular as possible. A Tyson Fury victory over Usyk would have set up the Joshua fight, which Turki Al-Sheikh wanted. Another blockbuster event for Riyadh season. It would have been massive. Bear in mind, this is the AJ before he'd been wiped out by Dubois, who was on a winning streak, who looked great against Francis Ngannou. But oh no, Turkey wanted to, for some bizarre reason, sabotage Riyadh season by having Tyson Fury lose twice, scupper in the AJ fight. Yeah, of course. That's what he wanted, isn't it, John? What a remarkable amount of rubbish this guy talks. Anyway, give me your thoughts about this tragic comedy in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you check out my latest content on Patreon. This week on the boxing tier, I uploaded the full Dave Allen versus Johnny Fisher rematch fight footage with my commentary over it. So you can watch the fight blow by blow with me calling the shots rather than Adam Smith. And relive the down goes Johnny moment till your heart's content. Also on the boxing tier, I uploaded the infamous Kell Brook voice note. It's some guy from Kell Brook's inner circle in a WhatsApp chat group spilling the beans about Kell Brook's alternative lifestyle, giving backstory to a car crash that Kell Brook was involved in back in the days, and the weird events that led up to it. And also, the time when he got shanked in Spain. He explains the backstory behind that. That voice note was never meant to get out, but it did. It was sent to me probably 7 years ago or so by somebody from Sheffield, and it was doing the rounds online for a while, but it's since apparently been scrubbed from everywhere on the internet except for my Patreon page on the boxing tier, the Boxing Brotherhood. And on my topical tier, this week I've uploaded part 2 of the Mechanics of Faith, where I delve into why some people follow religion and why it actually helps them, and why other people don't follow religion, and in some cases, for the best. And in part 2 specifically, I explain why so many black men in the diaspora have turned their backs on the church and turned their backs on Christianity altogether. That's this week's topical content. And of course, if you sign up to my Patreon, you get access to my entire back catalog on the tier that you select, going back many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of episodes. And of course, last week on the topical tier, the Brotherhood of Reason, I uploaded an episode which was an instant hit, decoding the new movie Sinners. It went down fantastically well. In fact, you can listen to a free 10-minute sample of that decoding. Just click the link in the description box below. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. If you want to access this video along with hundreds of hours worth of other exclusive boxing content, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.